This is part 2, episode 98. The ancient city of Zitiandu has gone through the ancient times, and has survived the dark catastrophe. Yi Fan and the others didn't stay for a long time. They really started to go to Zue sect, to have some reconciliation. Along the way, the big black dog was extremely excited. When they asked people about the specific location of Zue sect, many people showed strange expressions. What do these gods want to do? Naturally, I want to visit Zue ancient land, why can't we attack it? The big black dog barked. Everyone's expressions changed. These few days have been in boundless trouble in the past few days, and there is a sage following by their side. Could it be that they really want to break into Zue sect? Since ancient times, the Central Territory has many mountains and rivers, which can be described as outstanding people and spirits. In the mountains that are thousands of miles away from Zitiandu, the purple air is vigorous, the clouds are lingering, and the ancient trees are evergreen, like an immortal vein outside the world, which is very extraordinary. Yi Fan and the others walked all the way, and came to this immortal mountain. Behind them, the figure loomed, and some monks got the news and followed. In the past few days, their group has attracted Zhongyu, and they don't know how many pairs of eyes are paying attention. Yi Fan Jian slashes the yin and yang holy sun, shaking the younger generation. The old lunatic slapped the mighty to death alive, and it was like a sea of fury. The supreme sect of Zhengzhou was disgraced in the East Desert, and the news had already spread, but the yin-yang sect did not dare to take any action so far, and it was really calmed down. Oh, dog, don't run around, walk with the big brother and the others. Xiao Nan Nan was very quiet and well behaved. Sitting on the back of the Black Emperor, seeing that he was overexcited and running too fast, he reminded him in a low voice. Don't worry, no one dares to attack and kill. The big black dog didn't care. Running on the cliffs, it is looking for a peerless elixir. This is a fairyland, with pines standing proudly among the mountains and rocks, cranes hovering, waterfalls falling, and there is a lingering spiritual energy. Zheng. Suddenly, the icy and biting killing intent rushed out, the sword beam split the mountain, the sword pierced the sky, and the dazzling, like a comet streaking across the sky, assassinated. A razor-sharp sword. The big black dog was furious. He never thought that someone who would go with the old lunatic would dare to assassinate him, and it was so fierce. Want to kill in one hit. At this moment, the Black Emperor did not dodge the shocking sword, because it was too late, but opened his bloody mouth and roared vigorously. A huge wave of air erupted from its mouth, like a volcanic eruption, causing the surrounding void to collapse completely. Boom. As if there are thousands of troops galloping, the sound waves are roaring like a real dragon. It was very terrifying, and it collapsed a cliff in front of it. However, the sword glow was peerless and sharp, descending from the sky, pointing directly at the little girl on its back, wanting to kill it. The big black dog was frightened and furious. It had copper muscles and iron bones. It didn't matter if it was hit by a sword, but the little girl was very tender at this time. How could she endure such a sword? Its eyebrows split open, and the third vertical eye opened, shooting out a terrifying black glow, and at the same time it jumped up and blocked in front of the divine sword. When the light beam from the vertical eyes between the Black Emperor's eyebrows hit the killing sword, and the sparks shot in all directions, delaying its speed, but the killing sword was still slashing at Xiao Nan Nan. In the distance, Yi Fan heard the whistle of the big black dog, changed color, stepped on Qianshuan's footwork, and rushed out quickly. Like a ray of light, he swept across more than a dozen mountain peaks in the blink of an eye, and rushed to the front, just in time to see the scene of killing the sword and beheading the little girl. Yi Fan's eyes are full of pears, and the people in the world have appeared again, and he is playing tricks when he knows that there are old lunatics accompanying him. He saw Xiao Nanan's flustered expression, her little face was snow white, she was at a loss, and the sword pointed directly between her eyebrows, and his heart was full of anger. Boom. With the help of the secret power of all characters, Yi Fan's brows were like boiling with the golden little lake, and his powerful spiritual sense turned into a small golden cauldron, and rushed out to save Xiao Nanan's misfortune. When the golden little cauldron struck the killing sword, shaking it violently. At the same time, the light from the center of the big black dog's eyebrows became more intense, and he hit it. Puff. The killing sword was blocked, but it also slid forward for a distance, and cut a blood stain on the head of the big black dog, but failed to hurt the little girl. However, just at this moment, the unparalleled murderous intention came, and waves like Wang Yong rushed towards Yi Fan, shattering him. There is a peerless powerhouse hidden in the dark, waiting for him to come, and unleashing a blow that tyrannizes the world, wanting to destroy him in body and spirit, and never exist again. The ancient killer gods are daring in the world, even the existence comparable to the ancient saints, waiting to assassinate here. Boom. At this moment, the old madman standing outside a dozen big mountains let out a sigh of relief. Heaven and earth seemed to freeze because of this, time seemed to stand still, everything stopped, only the white breath was moving and rushed past. Boom. Killing sword turned into a fan, a man in black fell out of the dark, and he was completely destroyed on the spot. At the same time, a dry body fell out of the void, cracked beside Yi Fan's body, and was slashed by the white air. The corpse of the ancient great master. Someone took the master of the primordial spirit puppet to control all this. The big black dog was shocked. Ancient killer divine dynasty one world. Yi Fan's eyes were cold, and the other party wanted to kill them all, so he dared to take action in this situation. If the old lunatic standing in the 20-odd Li hadn't spit out a breath of energy and chopped off the bones of this ancient powerhouse, I'm afraid he would have been in danger just now. Big brother, are you not injured? Xiao Nan Nan was frightened, but asked first. Fang Cai, the killing sword pointed directly at the center of her eyebrows, to behead her. The little girl's face was snow white, her eyes were full of tears, she was very flustered. After all, she is only a 2-year-old child. How has she experienced such a thing? If it were an ordinary toddler, she would have cried a lot. Don't be afraid. I don't have a car. Yi Fan stepped forward, comforted her softly, lightly stroked her head, and scratched her delicate nose. At this time, Li Heishui also rushed up and shouted for a while, saying, "Have you eaten the immortal heart in this world? Even the monks who walk with the saints dare to kill." In the past, the ancient killers of the gods ruled the world, covering the sky. And in a single thought, blood was splattered on the ground, and they dared to kill even the ancient saints, so naturally they were not afraid. The big black dog sighed softly. However, they don't think about what age it is now. There are no saints in the world anymore. Do they still have such a person sitting in the court of God? Li Heishui said. They are testing. Yi Fan said to himself. Yes, I'm testing the power of the saint. The big black dog nodded and said, usually, the disciples they send are similar in strength to the assassins. They are mainly to experience themselves, and they rarely send such terrifying figures. The corpse that drives the ancient powers strikes. If it was just to kill Yi Fan too much, several people guessed that it was to test the old lunatic. Ancient killer divine dynasty, aren't you afraid of saints? Yi Fan's eyebrows were deeply knitted, and several people were a little worried. The old madman walked step by step, still as before, without any words, silent, as if everything in the world could not move his heart. In the back, some monks followed, and they were very shocked when they saw the scene just now, and they talked in a low voice. The ancient dynasty of killers is really terrifying. Even the people who are sheltered by the ancient sages dare to kill. Maybe the sky will change, the heaven will be destroyed, and the world and hell will be preserved intact. I don't know how powerful the secret development is to this day. Maybe this is a message that they will return. Yi Fan's eyes are cold, the ancient killers of the gods, the threat to him in the world is too great, even the little girl will be cut off, which makes him intolerable. Do you know where their ancient palace is? Yi Fan asked the big black dog. No one knows. It is an ancient temple built with the skulls of kings, a tower of death. The big black dog shivered involuntarily when he said these words. If you know where it is, we must ask the saints around us to destroy them. Li Heishui gritted his teeth. It's hard. In the past, the saints came together, and they failed to eradicate the world and hell, and I'm afraid it won't work now. The big black dog shook his head. This is a very bad signal. The ancient killer god dynasty came to kill me at this juncture, which may stimulate many people to hire them. Yi Fan thought of this serious problem. The trip to the Holy Cliff must be carried out as soon as possible. He needs to obtain the flawless inheritance of the heavenly court, and hold the supreme scepter of the killer to protect himself and contend. Zuijiao is located in the deep mountains of Xianmai. From a distance, there are stars in the sky. A big purple star is located in the center, and Qinglong, Baihu, Suzaku, and Xuanwu guard the 4 directions. At this time, the sky was not dark, and the blazing sun was in the sky, but there were such stars appearing, which seemed very strange and mysterious. They moved the stars. This is the projection of the stars, said the big black dog. Zuijiao seems to be really special, Yi Fan said to himself, watching intently. In front, the mountains are endless, the ancestors of the 10,000 veins gather here, the purple energy is lingering, the spiritual energy is permeable, the ancient mountains are filled with endless elixir, and the ancient trees stand up, all stained with spiritual beauty. They are the supreme sects with a long tradition. Some people say they are related to the outside world. Li Heishui said. What, there is such a statement? Yi Fan was surprised. The big black dog looked puzzled, thought hard, and then seemed to remember something, and said, maybe it is really related. An ancient emperor mentioned this inheritance when he looked up at the starry sky. The gate of Zhui sect is tall and majestic, built with a piece of meteorite. You are. When the people in the mountain gate discovered Yi Fan and the others, their color changed at that time. The news of the saint's birth in the past few days shocked Dong Huang, and no one knew it. At this time, seeing this group of people come to the door with their own eyes, no one can practice tranquility. Zuijiao, vast and boundless, consists of countless purple peaks, fairy mists fluttering, strange flowers bloom, medicinal herbs are everywhere, and fragrance is everywhere. This is a pure land, away from the hustle and bustle of the world, and is an ideal place for monks to practice. After the leader of Zhui got the report, he suddenly stood up and stood on the top of a mountain to look at the mountain gate, and his color changed at that time. An existence comparable to an ancient sage has arrived. Is this coming for the sake of the teacher? If this is the case, even someone as powerful as Zhui sect can't bear it. All the elders of Zhui sect changed color, and no one could keep calm. Junior Yi Fan came to worship the mountain. Yi Fan said to the guardian of the mountain gate. These people were completely dizzy, and they brought an existence comparable to an ancient sage to worship the mountain. This was really torturous. Zuijiao is boundless as far as the eye can see, auspiciousness pervades, purple peaks stand side by side, there is no lack of peerless elixir growing for thousands of years, and the spiritual energy is dense. By the side, a rare medicine can be seen occasionally. There is a dragon ancient god orchid on that purple cliff that is at least 15,000 years old. It is a peerless elixir. The big black dog's old problem has been committed, and Tong Ling's big eyes flashing green light can't wait to jump up and grab it immediately. Piece after piece of mountain peaks, full of brilliance, surrounded by clouds and mists, cliffs and strange rocks stand up, it is like a fairyland. In addition to the bizarre and colorful stone mountains, many mountain ranges are full of vitality, and the mountains are full of strange trees, as vigorous as a horned dragon, swaying and shining green light. One after another, the vast white waterfalls fell from the top of the mountain and passed through the ribbon-shaped clouds, which looked very ethereal and magnificent. On almost every purple mountain, there are 1 or 2 rare herbs that are over 10,000 years old. Zhui sect has an ancient heritage, and has existed for hundreds of thousands of years. It is natural to have such a heritage, but Yi Fan and the others are still surprised. This is an ancient land that was carefully managed by our ancestors. Several young disciples of Zhui sect followed and led the way. Everyone was very uneasy, and the eccentric person with the disheveled hair made their hearts go crazy. According to legend, the ancient sages have boundless mana, omnipotent and no one can guess. They are simply gods walking in the world, which is awe-inspiring. Even in the ancient times, such a person is difficult to be born, so they are regarded as saints, and all the tribes and the world are respected. The sky of Zhui ancient land is densely covered with stars. For example, in the boundless starry sky, the main peak has stars flowing, which is very magnificent. Not long after, the Zhui cult master and many supreme elders came out in person, and in the face of an existence comparable to the ancient saints, no one dared to care. When such a god-man came to the door, they all had incomparably big heads. Do you use the so-called heritage, but this is a living, unharmed saint, and he can't be shaken at all. Senior is here, and if you have lost your way, please forgive me. All these people paid a great tribute to the worship and felt uneasy in their hearts. As for the younger generation of Zhui education, they did not dare to come out, they followed the last party to worship, and cursed Yi Fan in their hearts. The old madman didn't say a word, his empty eyes stared at the stars above the ancient land of Zhui, and the big purple star in the middle, as if he was thinking about something. Seniors have taken the liberty to disturb your cultivation. Yi Fan smoothed out the situation, explaining that the old lunatic is walking in the world and is going through an alternative retreat waiting for breakthrough. Therefore, he doesn't care about all the old lunatics in the outside world. Maybe he is wandering too much at this time, so let him not have any grudges and break through. The senior figures of Zhui sect looked at each other in dismay. The ancient saint still wanted to break through, which would prevent others from living. Yi Fan was very humble and did not rely on the old madman's holy power to oppress people, because it was enough to come here for a turn, and Zue sect would not dare to trouble him again in the future. It is impossible for the old lunatic to walk with him all the time. Maybe he will disappear soon, and he can only take advantage of this situation to make the All Saints jealous. Uncle doesn't like to talk. What Big Brother said is true. Nan Nan said innocently, and then the guy started climbing the tree and pulling on the old lunatic's clothes, trying to get up. The big man of Zue sect was completely dizzy, and I am afraid that this girl is the only one who dares to do this, climbing a tree on an existence comparable to an ancient sage. The big black dog stepped forward and carried the girl on the shoulder of the old lunatic. The girl was not afraid at all and sat on it herself. The people of Zue sect didn't dare to disturb the old madman, and as they wandered in the ancient land, they pulled Yi Fan aside and asked, "How did you meet that senior?" "We are old acquaintances, and they are half my master. I once passed on my Tianxian footwork, but now it's just a reunion." Yi Fan smiled. The people of Zue sect petrified on the spot, and suddenly guessed the identity of the eccentric person with a loose head, who was the only mad old man in the world in Tianxian. The big black dog shouted, "Are you trying to kill Yi Fan?" It said it very directly, like a stunned young man. This was intentional, and he sang a black face to force the palace. "How is it possible?" A big man of Zue sect wiped his cold sweat and glanced at the old madman, not far away, with a very guilty conscience. If this saint is provoked, and Zue ancient land can be overturned, who would dare to touch such a bad head right now? But we heard about it with our own ears not long ago. The big black dog said in a loud voice. In the distance, Nan Nan, sitting on the shoulders of the old lunatic, looked pitiful and said, "Grandpa, don't kill the big brother, okay? Dizzy, do we dare to kill ancestors? You must not be so innocent." The big figures of Zue sect were terrified, and Nan Nan sat on the shoulders of the saint, begging to make them hairy. "Grandpa, don't you kill us, okay?" Nan Nan continued to plead pitifully. This is really frightening. Sitting on the sage and begging like this makes a group of big people restless, and they all open their mouths. Everything is just a misunderstanding, nothing like that will ever happen. Don't worry, my Zue sect has always been indifferent to the world, and I won't do such a thing. In the future, the young people I teach will be closer to you. Such a big man has never encountered such a thing before, even the Holy Land has never raised a teacher to ask sins, and now a few grassroots, who have no background, have invited a saint to come. It's good that there is no such thing. If you really want to kill us, the saint will not stand by. The big black dog said boldly. Seniors, don't mind, don't listen to what it says. In fact, I'm here to make amends. Yi Fan accepted it as soon as he saw it, and his attitude was very low, claiming that he was here to plead guilty for the matter of Zhao. The leader of Zue is as tall and straight as wearing a purple gold crown, wearing a star robe, eyes as deep as the ocean, with a purple star hanging on his head, like the reincarnation of a heavenly emperor. On weekdays, he wouldn't say anything to Yi Fan Duo at all, but at this time he put down his posture and smiled slightly, saying, "Forget the past, don't mention it again. In the future, you young people will have to communicate more." The elders next to him also spoke. Yi Fan and others entered the Zue sect, and were eventually sent out by many supreme elders personally, causing a shock in the central region. This is a big event. Is there a mistake? No one can afford to lead a saint to visit. Wouldn't they want to go to Zhengzhou next stop? If they visit the Yin-Yang Church, it will definitely be very lively. If the supreme sect of Zhengzhou provokes a confrontation, it will be an earth-shaking battle. There was a lot of discussion in the outside world, and all the holy places were extremely afraid after getting the news, for fear that Yi Fan would not know how to rely on the old lunatic and go to various houses to make trouble. If that was the case, whether the Holy Land had no face to fight or not, would put them in a dilemma. Soon, the identity of the old madman came out from Zue sect, causing a shock. It turned out to be the only remaining unparalleled master of Tianxian. He's actually a crazy old man. He's rejuvenated, and he won't die after 6,000 years. How many years can he live? No wonder, it can only be him. 6,000 years ago, Dong Huang was invincible. Now that so many years have passed, he is naturally comparable to the ancient saints. It turned out to be the old master of Gaidai. Has his lifespan extended again? No one is not shocked. 6,000 years ago, there was an inexorable existence in the eastern wasteland. Now that the lifespan has not been exhausted and extended, everyone is shocked. In the current situation, Qianxian Holy Land is not destroyed at all. As long as the old lunatic is alive for a day, his unparalleled cultivation base can be rebuilt at any time. Yi Fan's enemies were indignant that the peerless God King was doomed to perish. Now, even the Holy Lands dare not touch him. The old madman was invincible at that time. If he is mad, he can definitely demolish a holy land. Because this is not the past, the ancient saints are almost impossible to be born. He is the living ancient scriptures and saints, who can fight. Yi Fan and the others left, preparing to go to the holy cliff. He had no intention of visiting the holy lands. He just used the power of the old lunatic to keep himself alive, and did not want to make trouble. However, on this day, the eastern wilderness was shaken, and the holy masters came to worship one after another, and they came to see the old lunatic one after another. The all saints are very uneasy, and now the old madman is obviously not very confused, and he is so reticent, he must remember everything in the past. In the past, the Holy Land was emptied of Qianxian. What will happen to this saint after he understands everything? If he is angry in his heart and kills the major holy places, it must be a catastrophe of bloodshed, and no one can calm down. When Yi Fan and his party entered Wangkong City, the entire street was quiet, and everyone retreated, leaving only the saints to greet the old lunatic. Everyone's expressions were extremely pious, all of them were cautious, and they paid homage to worship, and no one dared to neglect. The Holy Master of the Jiang family, the Holy Master of the Wind clan, the Holy Master of the Ji family, the Holy Master of Yaoguang, the Holy Master of Zifu, the Holy Master of Wanchu, the Holy Master of Yaokai. On this day, the East desolate earthquake shook like a tsunami that sank the earth, and the whole world was watching, and everyone was talking about it. A sage with a name and a surname was born, and his lifespan was extended again. Even the people in Zhongzhou knew it, and it was boiling. The Yin-Yang sect was completely silent, completely lost their voices, and no longer dared to send one person to Donghuang, and they were even ready to face the saint in Zhongzhou. Ji Haoyue and Ji Ziyue accompanied Ji Haoyue next to the Holy Master of the Ji family, and both had the opportunity to worship the saints in the world, because these two were their future hope. The divine king body once fought against the Yin-Yang Holy Sun in the southern region. It is well known to the world that the Yin-Yang Holy Sun vomited blood and stopped. Now I heard that Yi Fan beheaded the opponent with his own hands, and carefully observed Yi Fan. Ji family moon had dimples on her cheeks, and her teeth were gleaming. She was relieved when she learned that Yi Fan was able to survive, and she wanted to squeeze in, but the God King system stopped, and she pouted and mumbled. Jiang Gefei accompanied Jiang Gefei next to the Holy Master of the Jiang family. His white clothes were better than snow, and he was as rich as jade. He was very refined and could not be noticed. He left a deep impression on Yi Fan. Like Hua Yunfei and the Holy Son of Yaoguang, he had his own very unique charm. Up to now, Yi Fan has determined that Jiang Gefei is by no means the mysterious God King of the Jiang family, but he feels that this person may be unfathomable. At the side of the Holy Master of the Wind clan, Feng Huang followed, looking at Yi Fan with a complicated expression, invited a saint, and cut off the Holy Son of Yaoguang with a half-crippled body, which shocked her deeply. The potential of the body is much more than she imagined. In addition, Saintess of Yaokai, Saintess Daoi, Saintess of Zifu, etc. also came with the sect master to meet the old lunatic. What do these holy masters mean, and how did they bring the most powerful holy sons and living saints of their sect? Li Heishui was surprised. See Senior, I am willing to send each of the strongest descendants to Qianxian, help the saint to rebuild the glory of Qianxian, and let it reappear in the world. All the saints said in unison. I'm big-handed, they dare to do this. Even the big black dog was startled. Wangkong City was extremely quiet, especially this ancient street, where needles could be heard falling. Everyone was looking here, and everyone was waiting. However, the old lunatic was very silent, and did not say a word for a long time. Some holy masters broke out in cold sweat, and they looted Qianxian. Now this holy man is not only alive, but his mind is not confused, which makes them extremely worried. I am willing to provide everything so that Qianxian can return to its former prosperity. Some holy master said again. Others did not want to fall behind, and they all agreed, all earnestly asking to restore the glory of Qianxian, and reproduce the glory of this extremely prosperous holy land. The all holy lands have a strong background that can compete with the world's unparalleled combat power, but after the First World War, I am afraid that they will be extremely weak for a long time. Because the old lunatic is a saint in the world, he is safe, unhurt, prosperous in spring and autumn, and his lifespan is still very long. He can fight against any kind of enemy. If he opens up to kill friends, he will deplete the background of the Holy Land, because he can fight for a long time. It will be a catastrophic result. Let them pass away, the old madman finally said a sentence. The breeze blew, the dense black fluttered, and his bronze-colored face was exposed. He looks very straight, with a straight nose and a square mouth. His face is as sharp as a knife, and he is extremely determined, but his eyes can't see the end, like two abyss. Suddenly, snow-white petals fell from the sky, each one the size of a slap, and each one was stained with blood. The world, many people turned pale. This is a high-profile murder by the ancient killers of the gods. It was only done before the ancient times. Are they really going to make a strong comeback now? The holy body must be cut. Between the heavens and the earth, there are these 4 words resounding, like the thunder of the sky, and then a snow-white petal that is more than half a person's height falls. The mortal order of the world. This is after accepting a request from at least a person above, and the order to kill the gods is issued. Someone exclaimed and explained the meaning. On the large white petal, there are pictures of the ups and downs of the human world, representing the human world, and then 2 words are engraved in blood, Yi Fan. This is the killing order of the ancient killer of the gods. It is very intriguing to be killed even if there is a saint's protection. Come if you want me. Yi Fan shouted. Suddenly, the sky darkened, and countless black petals fell, like black jade, all stained with blood. What? Hell has also appeared. This is their killer order. Ancient killer god dynasty Hell has also appeared. People exclaimed again, all changed color. In the end, a huge black petal fell, engraved with a deity that opened the shackles and rushed out of hell, representing this ancient dynasty of killers. In addition, there are 2 words engraved in blood, Yi Fan. It is still a must-kill order, and the ancient killer god Chao Hell has also received at least 10 requests to kill a person. There are so many ancient inheritances, connected to the world and hell, to cut the holy body. Everyone changed their color. Knowing that he is walking with the saint, he still dares to issue an order to kill. The horror of the world and hell makes people cold. The snow-white petals, like the funeral flowers in the cemetery, are stained with blood, and they are fluttering all over the ancient street. The black petals represent death, and the mist is filled with air of destruction. The birth of the 2 ancient killers of the gods shocked everyone and touched everyone's nerves, especially the saints who were difficult to calm down, and their ancestors participated in the action of destroying the gods. Back then, the 3 great divine dynasties ruled the world covering the sky, and over a long period of time, all the ancient Han Cheng in Donghuang lost their voices, and did not dare to provoke anger. Because, once they are provoked, there will be a peerless person who will be assassinated, which is unbearable, and no holy place can afford it. The 3 ancient dynasties are terrifying, even the ancient saints dare to assassinate them, and if they succeed, who in the world is not afraid? It was a dark age, and it could be called a game. The ancient gods ruled the world covering the sky, looking down on the eastern wilderness, making every holy place feel an unprecedented pressure. The petals are blooming on the street, all dyed with fresh silk, and the invisible murderous aura is lingering. The legendary must-kill order is now in the world. Since ancient times, no one can escape. I don't know how strong they are now. Before the ancient times, as long as the order to kill was issued, no one has ever been able to escape. The big black dog muttered. Many people looked at Yi Fan with strange expressions. There was a myth of invincibility in the ancient killer god dynasty, and no one could be an exception to the killing order. The 2 great dynasties have retired for endless years, and now they are born, but they are so high profile. I am afraid they are powerful enough. The holy master of the Wind clan frowned. He didn't say some words. The other party dared to issue a killing order at this time. Obviously he was provoking the saints in the world, and most of them wanted to stand up. If this is the case, the problem is quite serious, proving that the background of the 2 major killers has expanded to the point of extreme fear. Could it be that they have returned to their former glory? Holy Master Yaoguang also frowned. In the past, in the ancient halls of the world, the skulls of the kings were almost assembled, and they did not miss a single physique. They killed all the heroes in the world, and they must not stand up. And hell is even worse. They are like a group of depraved and ruthless gods, holding blood-dropping swords, killing all the saints in the world, powerful and terrifying. In hell, the skins, bones, flesh and blood, internal organs, etc. of the ancient saints they have beheaded are preserved. This Ji family holy master also showed a dignified expression, saying, If the grand occasion of the past really reappears, I am afraid it will be a dark turmoil again, and there will be a huge disaster. The ancient killer god slayed the Lord. These people have entered the Tao by killing them all their lives, and they are the people in the world who know the great art of killing. All the Holy Lands participated in the world-shattering war before the ancient times. It was not that they did not want to uproot the world and hell, but only after they really fought did they realize how much they would pay. In the Supreme Divine Dynasty, Heavenly Court, there are hidden 2 saints whose lifespan has dried up. They can't use their full combat power at all in their twilight years, but they still let the 3 supreme saints in the spring and autumn of the Holy Land be buried together. The fighter planes chosen by the major holy places are very good, and they will take action when the ancient killer gods will sit down and the new saints are about to be born. This is a great killing technique performed by a saint-level figure. It cuts off the virtual and the real, and nothing is indestructible. It leaves the traces of a great road, as if to cut the barrier between ancient times and the present. Boom. The old madman unfolded his sleeves, covering the sky and the sun, and attacked forward, not only putting the sword light into his sleeves, but also including the sky. Boom. The dome of the sky collapsed at that time, and a huge black hole appeared there. The sword light was shot through the domain gate, and the strong men in the world did not dare to show up. Another sword chi slashed down, and a blood-red divine glow ripped apart the void, reaching a length of 2,000 feet, and slashed towards the Nan Nan on the big black dog. Yi Fan's eyes were cold, and it was enough for the ancient killer Shan dynasty to kill him, and even Nan Nan was included, which made him extremely angry. Boom. The old mad bullet pointed, a finger pierced the sky and the earth, not only shattered the blood, but also pierced through the heaven and the earth, rushing to the other end of the void. Boom. Suddenly, the tall and majestic saint moved his hands together, and for the first time showed his magic in front of people, but everyone couldn't see it. There were also complicated Tao lines on his fingertips, like a real dragon that was about a foot long swimming. His hands shook violently, and the sky suddenly collapsed. Boom. In Wangkong City, except for a few holy masters, almost everyone was paralyzed on the ground, unable to bear this kind of pressure at all. This is the deterrence from the soul. Boom. A terrifying wave of Tao power suddenly crossed the void and hit the other side of the void, and I don't know how he did it. This is not to open the domain gate, but to kill the enemy across the boundless void. Several holy masters were startled, showing a look of astonishment. The old madman didn't use a big technique, it was just a secret technique that he easily drew. Boom. The sky was like a broken drum, it was smashed to pieces, and the Tao force hit by the old madman traversed the void, and 2 screams came from that end, and it was completely silent. The saints in this world are not to be humiliated, this kind of method against the sky is really terrifying. The top expert opened the domain gate to assassinate, and I don't know how many miles away. And the old lunatic actually deduced his position, pierced through the past with peerless Tao power, and cut them off. This kind of combat power made everyone deeply fear. The people in this world and hell did not appear again, but everyone was very restless, both shocked by the methods of the old lunatic, and surprised by the courage of the 2 ancient killers. Today, they are announcing their comeback. In the future, Dong Huang will inevitably be killed. I am afraid that many ancient inheritances cannot be ignored. Just now, they were just testing, but daring to test the saints in this world is sending a very terrifying signal. Yi Fan was angry, and the killer gods attacked him repeatedly and twice, and involved the innocent Nan Nan, making him endless killing intent. It's okay, I'm not afraid. The guy tugged at Yi Fan's sleeve and raised his head. Her big eyes are black and white. Pure and flawless, obviously a little flustered, but he resisted saying this. The guy looked pitiful. Well, Nan Nan really don't have to worry, they are nothing. Yi Fan smiled. At this time, many monks in Wangkong City stood up again. Except for the old lunatic and some of the people supported by the saints, the other monks were almost paralyzed on the ground. This is the power of a saint. Every one of them will affect the endless creatures between heaven and earth, possessing unpredictable supreme power. When many people looked at Yi Fan, their eyes were strange. The 2 ancient killers were nothing. I'm afraid no one dared to say that in the past. In the past, no one could escape the killing order issued by a single god, but now the 2 gods have issued a killing order against him at the same time. This is almost a mortal situation. The saints kept asking them to keep him, but the old madman kept silent, and said no more. No one dared to speak anymore, and let them go. Here. Jizue finally found the opportunity. walked to Yifan's side with the Great Void technique, and handed over a Xiu cauldron. Jismoon's skin is white and crystal clear for a while, the more beautiful and moving, wearing purple clothes, graceful like a fairy. Xiao Feiwu, with ethereal eyes, wrinkled cheong nose, was very dissatisfied, pushed Yifan and said, "Hurry up and put it away." "What is this?" Yifan said, and at the same time was surprised that it was the first time that he had stood so close to Jiziyue after they parted ways. "This is the life-sustaining holy medicine that I quietly borrowed from the Holy Master. It was refined by an unparalleled God King in our family." "Ah." Yifan was surprised. This must have been stolen by Jiziyue, which made him both moved and wanted to laugh. This arrogant girl actually did such a thing. "Why are you smirking? Don't hurry up and put it away." Jiziyue rubbed her tiger teeth, gleaming brightly, and thumped him. Afterwards, she showed a touching smile to Nan Nan, revealing dimples. Her big eyes bent into crescents, and said, "Would you like to go with my sister?" Nan Nan quickly ran back, hugged Yifan's legs, tilted her head to look at her, as if afraid that Jiziyue would abduct her, blinked her big bright eyes, and said nothing. "No." Jiziyue scratched her nose lightly, then disappeared in a flash, disappearing into the void. "That sister has a baby," Nan Nan quietly told Yifan. Yifan suddenly laughed. What does the guy know? He actually said that. However, the empty eyes of the old madman also flashed a ray of brilliance, and said, "Something in the bronze immortal hall." As soon as these words came out, Yifan's heart was shocked. The source of his mother chi came from there. It was a graveyard of a master of Gadai. After half a month, the world and hell have appeared 4 times. Not only did they want to kill Yifan, but even Nan Nan was implicated, and the killing sword was cut to her twice. With saints walking, they will naturally not be in danger. Those killers are not real bodies, they are all ancient corpses, and there are puppets of primordial spirits. What ancient inheritances have moved the world and hell? Li Heishui pondered. There must be some holy sons, maybe there is a ruthless person like Hua Yunfei, and most likely there will be people from the Yin-Yang religion. It seems that many people suspect that you are healed. The big black dog grumbled. Yifan touched his chin and didn't say anything. He knew that there would be endless battles in the future, and now he had to make himself stronger first. Then, they began to cross the void, descended several times, and dumped all their followers without a trace. Finally, the Black Emperor earnestly scribbled and carved the Dao pattern, ready to go to the ultimate holy cliff. When Li Heishui saw it was so serious, his head was big for a while, because he saw the chessboard pattern again, which was left by the Void Emperor. "Hurry up and put away the dead dog. We don't want to go to the Western Desert, or Beiyuan. Isn't it enough that you killed Pang Bo and Tu Fei?" The big black dog was indignant and said, "You don't believe this emperor so much." Nan Nan showed a rare look of worry, squatted on the ground, and said seriously, "Oh dog, you have to be careful, every time you make mistakes, don't lose us." The big black dog had no light on his face and kept silent. He continued to scribble and copied the pattern of the chessboard. During this process, the old madman stared at the pattern and looked very seriously. Yifan knew that the big black dog must have done this on purpose, and wanted to ask the saint to judge. "Okay, go to the holy cliff, absolutely right, it will be there in the next moment." The big black dog said. "This is the pattern to go to the Western Desert," the old lunatic said suddenly. "Damn, you are too unreliable, dead dog. If you want to kill people, if we fall on Mount Sumeru and smash Delayan Temple, those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will fight with us desperately." Li Heishui said. "This is obviously going to the holy cliff." The big black dog was puzzled, his eyes rolled, and he asked the old lunatic. The old madman didn't say anything, just a little bit with his hands, changed its pattern in 1 or 2 places, and corrected it. "It turns out that something is wrong here, no wonder I feel a little abnormal." The big black dog grumbled. "Rush?" With a flash of light, several people crossed the void and disappeared in place. The pattern lines left behind automatically disappeared and disappeared. After they left for a long time, a phantom came from the distant mountain, blurred, and stood there for a long time before a sneer that seemed to come from hell appeared. All the birds and beasts in this mountain range were violent for the first time. Dead. Not long after, another person appeared beside him. The figure was even more blurred, almost transparent, and it seemed that it would collapse in the wind at any time. He fixedly looked at the void and said nothing, but the killing intent made all the vegetation in the entire mountain wither. Yi Fan and the others don't know how many thousands of miles they have traveled, from the central part of the eastern wasteland all the way to a place close to the northern region. The Holy Cliff is located at the junction of the Central Territory and the Northern Territory. Because this is an ominous place, Darching's holy body was blood-stained on the cliff in his later years, and he died here, making everyone fearful. You must know that it is a supreme existence that can compete with the ancient emperors, but it ended up in such an end, which has become an eternal historical mystery. Although the name sounds like a cliff, but when I came closer, I realized that it is incomparably magnificent. This is a large mountain, majestic and muddy. Its whole body is black, as pitch black as ink, and the infinite ancient trees on it are difficult to cover up. There are more than 50 great mountains standing side by side, and the atmosphere is majestic. Darching's supreme Eucharist is too powerful. It was cut from the mountain of immortality, and used as his retreat. The big black dog sighed. Yi Fan and the others had to be startled, thinking that the invincible Darching holy body was taken advantage of by an inexplicable existence after the qi and blood declined in his later years. Otherwise, with his unparalleled power, when he was at its peak, he was on a par with the great emperor, and it would be difficult for anyone in this world to get rid of him. It's too late for a hero, it's the greatest sorrow in the world. The big black dog sighed. Yi, you must find an immortal medicine and plant it and live 2 lives. I heard from my grandfather that the old age of the holy body of the great accomplishment is not very peaceful. You must not wait until the blood and qi declines, Li Heishui also speak. This video will end here.